All right, today we're jumping into one of the most absolutely chaotic, but also pivotal periods in modern history, China's Warlord Era. This is a time when a 2,000-year-old imperial system didn't just fade out, it completely imploded, and the entire country literally shattered into a million pieces. So how does a nation just fall apart? It's a massive question, right? But the story of China in the early 20th century gives us a startlingly clear and violent answer. This wasn't some slow, gradual decline. This was a sudden, catastrophic failure of the central government that just unleashed total chaos. So here's how we're going to break this all down. First, we'll look at how this giant power vacuum was created in the first place. Then, we'll watch the country shatter, we'll meet the warlords who stepped into that void, we'll follow the long, bloody road back to unity, and finally, we'll unpack the era's incredible legacy. Okay, so where did all this chaos even come from? Well, the Warlord Era didn't just happen out of nowhere. It was the direct result of a complete and total collapse right at the very heart of Chinese politics. And you know what's crazy? It happened so fast. In 1911, a revolution kicks off and just topples the Qing Dynasty. I mean, thousands of years of imperial rule just gone. A new republic tries to form, but it's super fragile. And the one guy with enough military muscle to hold it all together, President Yuan Shikai, he dies in 1916. And with him gone, that last thin thread holding the country together just snapped. And once that final thread was gone, well, that's when things went from bad to worse. This is where the country truly begins to fracture, and the story gets really wild. All of a sudden, the very idea of China as one country, it was basically gone. It was like someone took a glass map of the nation, threw it on the floor, and it just shattered into dozens of jagged little pieces. And each one of those pieces became its own little kingdom, ruled by its own military strongman. And this wasn't just some abstract idea, You can literally see it here. Different military factions, they call them cliques, just carved up the country for themselves. You have the Xinhai clique controlling Manchuria. The Shanxi clique took Shanxi. Each region became a personal territory, and their leaders were constantly at war with each other. So who exactly were these men who suddenly found themselves running entire provinces? Well, they became known, of course, as the warlords. And let's be really clear about what that term means. We're not talking about kings or emperors with some divine right to rule. Nope. These were military commanders who saw the government disappear and just used their armies to grab power. Their authority came from one place and one place only: the barrel of a gun. And, they weren't all the same. You had these different archetypes. There was the reformer, a guy who might actually try to build schools and roads in his territory. But then you had the bandit king, just a brutal predator. Think of the infamous dog-meat general, Zhang Zuolin, who was known for his extreme cruelty in taxing his people into oblivion. And, of course, you had the foreign-backed general, taking money and weapons from countries like Japan, who were more than happy to see China in pieces. But this level of chaos, it just couldn't last forever. Out of all that violence and division, a new force started to rise up with a single, incredibly ambitious goal: to put China back together again. That force was the Kuomintang, the KMT, also known as the Nationalist Party. For them, the whole Warlord Era was a national humiliation. They were absolutely convinced that China had to be reunified, and they were willing to do it by force if they had to. So, in 1926, they launched the Northern Expedition. It was this massive military campaign pushing north from their base in the south, and they just started rolling up the warlords, one by one, defeating them, absorbing their armies, and capturing city after city. By 1928, they took the capital, Beijing, and declared that China was officially reunified. The Warlord Era was, at least on paper, finally over. But it's never that simple. Just because an official declaration is made doesn't mean the damage just vanishes. The scars from this period of division ran incredibly deep, and they would go on to shape the entire course of China's 20th century. I mean, just get your head around this number for a second. Over 2 million. That's how many men were serving in these private armies, loyal not to a country, but to individual commanders. The scale of the militarization was just staggering, and the human cost? Endless battles, famines. The suffering was immense. So what was the ultimate legacy here? Well, first, it established a harsh new reality in Chinese politics. Real power came from controlling an army, period. It also, paradoxically, fueled this powerful surge of nationalism. People were just desperate for a strong, unified country again. And, most critically, it planted the seeds for the next massive conflict, the Chinese Civil War between the nationalists and their rising rivals, the communists. And that kind of leaves us with one last big thought. The Warlord Era is just this stark, terrifying reminder of how fragile a nation can be. And it raises a question that echoes through history, not just for China, but for any society, really. When a nation breaks so completely, can the cracks ever truly disappear?